Okay, in October 6th, 2016, my ex-wife left Sacramento County with my kids and came up here to Shasta County to stay at her mom's. She had my kids, and this was the second time that she left in a few weeks and took my kids out of school. And we were in an argument over her taking her antipsychotic medication. And so basically, October 6th, I filed online divorce paperwork and custody paperwork. And she noticed that I had paid for that, filing that paperwork online because we have a joint bank account. And she got an alert, and she called me crying, asking me why I wanted to file for divorce. And I told her that she left with the kids and that I wasn't, I was done with it. Like, I was done with her, and I was done with her manipulating our kids and using our kids as manipulation. So what I did was I called an attorney in Sacramento County, a family law attorney, who advised me at that moment that basically she can't leave Sacramento County with my kids. Um that is abduction. It's parental abduction and kidnapping, and the fact that we lived in Sacramento, that she would have to file for custody in order to be able to take my kids out of Sacramento County. So at that point, I went to Sacramento County with the paperwork that I had filed online, and I had filed for custody of my kids. I filed for custody for a few days. It takes quite a bit of time to file all the proper paperwork and enroll in the family law services. And what you start out with is you basically start out with a packet of paperwork. It's a huge packet, and you have to fill out everything and have it all filed with the county clerk's office legally. The clerk certifies, takes your original paperwork, scans it into a statewide database system, and the county clerk's office goes through your paperwork, makes sure that it's legally correct, and then certifies the paperwork. They sign and certify it, and then once it's filed, it goes to a judge to have that approved. Once a judge signs it, then you have your custody orders as well as jurisdiction and child support paperwork. I had that paperwork, and I filed it on the 14th of October 2016, and I came up to Shasta County and served the sheriff's department. I served her parents' house, and I served a place called One Safe Place, and the kids' school. I guess it was like Buckeye Elementary School. She was trying to enroll the kids in school up here in Shasta County. This was a week after, or I'm sorry, 2 weeks after she had left Sacramento, and as well as after she knew that I filed for divorce and custody orders of my kids. On October 20th, I served the Shasta County Sheriff's Department the following documents, specified documents: the Uniform Child Custody Jurisdiction Act, the UCCJEA from Sacramento, income and expense declaration would be child support completed, as well as custody and support of minor children completed, and summons for her to go back to court on the 28th of October in Sacramento County. That is custody paperwork. Those are custody orders, and that is the proper paperwork filed in Sacramento County, as well as jurisdiction over this case. Once I served the sheriff's department, by law, they are supposed to enforce this paperwork and enforce the UCCJEA and arrest her for abduction and kidnapping, as well as I also served the Shasta County Superior Court, the original paperwork from Sacramento, and Redding Police Department. So everybody was aware that the kids were taken from Sacramento, and everybody was aware that I had filed this paperwork And then on the 20th, for a fact, legally, everybody had copies of the paperwork from Sacramento. And what happened is this deputy contacted her. This is the declaration of diligence here. And what he says is that the address that I gave him was incorrect, which I don't really understand how that could be possible. He says he spoke with the defendant and by telephone, and she refused service. You can't refuse service of custody orders. That's kind of a ridiculous statement. It's absurd. And by law, the sheriff's department is supposed to enforce those custody orders and have my kids taken back to Sacramento County, basically returned to me, because at this point, the kids are abducted and kidnapped from Sacramento and from me. And what happens is that this place called One Safe Place helped her file a domestic violence restraining order against me in Shasta County Superior Court. And that paperwork was filed on the 12th. And we had a court date on October 31st with this judge, Gerald Kennedy. And then that's myself and my ex-wife at this court date. Now, what they said was that they served me the domestic violence restraining order from Shasta County in Sacramento County. Okay? And this is the proof of service that this person here, Tina Jenkins, she's an advocate from One Safe Place. And she says here on the 13th that she served me paperwork in Power and Road, which would have been the courthouse, and that she served me this domestic violence restraining order from Shasta County. Okay, and she signs and dates it here. And then this is the proof of service that was filed in Shasta County. There was another proof of service that was also filed for the same paperwork. It says here by the same person, served to me on the 13th. And on this date, the 28th, it was a proof of service that was served in Sacramento County. That never happened. I was there on the 14th, and Tina Jenkins and my ex-wife Kendra walked in the courthouse and made a huge scene. Tried to file paperwork, cut in line and file paperwork in front of people, and Sacramento County deputies kicked them out of the courthouse. And so One Safe Place and this advocate, they were aware that I filed for custody orders and that I served them, and they were also aware that Tina Jenkins and Kendra were unable to file paperwork in Sacramento County. This is proof of that day, and exactly what I'm talking about is I wasn't there on the 13th, and this is proof of that. This is a receipt of payment, and it says October 14th at 10 a.m., 10:30 a.m., I was in the courthouse, and I paid $455 to file my paperwork. And then this is the proof of the date. It says October 14th, 2016 at 10:13. And this is a petition for custody and support of minor children. So right there, this is evidence here that this person, Tina Jenkins, lied about her proof of service and lied about the time that she was served me paperwork. And that should have been enough for conviction, or enough to have them arrested for abduction. So what happens is that we have this court date on the 31st in Sacramento County, or I'm sorry, on the 31st in Shasta County. We had court dates prior to this in Sacramento County on the 28th, and I was there that day, and Kendra Snyder did not show up for court in Sacramento County with the kids after there was already custody orders or custody paperwork filed. And they sent One Safe Place sent an advocate there actually, and the judge, his name is Judge McBrien, chewed their ass for showing up on her behalf, and for Kendra not showing up with my kids. And he was pretty pissed about the whole situation. He was pissed that she received the copies of the custody orders and received the summons and didn't show up herself. So in this, these are court minutes from court proceedings in Shasta County Superior Court, and what they do is they, in family law cases, in court hearings, they do court minutes, which is basically typed up summary of what happened that day in court minutes or in court proceedings. And it's usually done by the court clerk, and it's usually done like a few days after. It's not, in my experience, it's never really accurate, and it's not a court reporter. It's not court transcripts. It's just a brief summary of what was discussed in court minutes, or I'm sorry, in court dates. And it's in my experience in Shasta County, these court minutes have been changed and altered, and usually are pretty inaccurate about what actually happens in court proceedings. And I've requested a few different times a court reporter, and it's always an argument. But anyways, it says right here that the court notes that the proper proof of service of this matter had been filed, and the court's inquiry petition states that she still wants a permanent order. Okay, what they're talking about is the proof of service that I just went over with about Tina Jenkins. And this court date, I didn't show up. It says that I was not present. And the reason why I wasn't present is because we had already had a court date on the 28th in Sacramento County, as well as we lived in Sacramento County. There was no legal reason for me to show up in Shasta County for a court date, and no legal reason for them to grant her a domestic violence restraining order in Shasta County. All the paperwork needed to be filed in Sacramento County, and she never showed up for court dates after I had filed for custody. This judge, Kennedy, basically grants her everything that she requested in that domestic violence restraining order, and granted her sole legal and sole physical custody of my children in Shasta County, awarding her, the respondent, awarding me no visitation of my kids until further court order. This is an error of law. That's what they call that. And basically, it's an error of law because this court assumed jurisdiction over my kids and this case when there was already a case filed in Sacramento County, and there was already custody orders filed in Sacramento County, as well as we lived in Sacramento County. So there was no reason to justify granting her a domestic violence restraining order in another county. In March, I was dating my girlfriend, and she seen my ex-wife in Shasta County, found out where she lived at, and we were able to serve her paperwork to get her back to court in Shasta County. The reason why I filed the paperwork in Shasta County to bring her back to Shasta County court was because of the domestic violence restraining order that was granted in October 31st. So this is just basically it's the proof of service of this paperwork being filed. The declaration that I filed on April 27th, 2017, this is now 8 months after she left Sacramento, and I haven't seen or heard from my kids this entire time. And it says that I filed court documents from Sacramento County, already court ruled prior to the court date and ruling in Shasta County. That would be the October 28th court date that I was awarded custody orders. I was awarded ex parte custody orders to have my kids returned back to Sacramento County, and the advocate from One Safe Place showed up there and received those orders. Okay, this is very important right here, is because I'm telling the Shasta County Superior Court that I already filed paperwork in Sacramento County. There was already a ruling in a court date, and I was awarded ex parte custody orders. So this declaration right here is basically confirming that. In October 28th in Sacramento County, like I said, we had a court date, and this is a letter from the courtroom clerk from that date. And this is a date on, it says November 1st, which would have been a few days after the 28th, and it says, "Dear Miss Givens, the restraining order you received on October 28th, 2016 has been amended by the court. Please throw away the copies you left the court in the courtroom you left the courtroom with and use these in their place. The amended order has also been scanned to the CLEATS database system. The restrained party is required to be served a copy of the restraining order. And this is the clerk. I'm sorry, this is the clerk that signed it in the department. Okay, this is really important because the next page here, it says, that I, Superior Court Clerk of above named court, certify that I am not a party of this case, and on this date shown below, mailed an amended restraining order, depositing true copies, therefore sealed in envelopes with postage fully prepaid in the United States mail at Sacramento, California. Each envelope was addressed respectfully to the person and address shown below. That's her address. That's my ex-wife, and that's her mom's address. And what this court clerk is saying is that the restraining order that Miss Givens brought was amended, and that Kendra Snyder is now the restrained party in this case. This was a restraining order from Sacramento, basically saying that she was restrained from me and my kids, and that my kids needed to be returned back to Sacramento. And then it's signed by the court clerk. And then this Miss Givens is an advocate and a person that used to work for One Safe Place. Okay, so I noticed later on in the case files, I noticed something that was really peculiar to me, or I guess, or just stood out right away. This is a declaration that's filed on April 3rd, 2017, and it's a declaration, and it's allegedly filed by Kendra, but I noticed that this is not Kendra's handwriting. Okay, it starts saying some really disparaging remarks about me and lies about me. It says Jacob Snyder has physically assaulted me and raped me in front of my kids, my children, and he also has strangled me numerous occasions, and he has come to One Safe Place repeatedly and has made numerous threats, and he's followed me from Sacramento County. And it says, please honor this 3-year restraining order. These are court dates that we're talking about, the custody orders from Sacramento County, and the fact that she had left Sacramento County with my kids and wouldn't allow me to talk to my kids anymore. And somebody else is filing paperwork on her behalf with our case file. This is dated on the 3rd, and this is not Kendra Snyder's signature. This is not the way that my wife signs her name, and never has. Like, the whole time we were married for 10 years, I've seen her sign, numerous documents, legal documents, taxes, the kids' enrollment to school, basically everything I've seen her sign. She never signs her name like this, and she never puts her middle initial of her name, and she never uses these big loops, for the K and the N and the S. I've never seen her do that before, and I started noticing that these loops are on these certain letters in the declaration. Has, right? And several times it's shown with this with different letters, and then, like I said, she never puts her middle initial. So I noticed right at the very beginning that somebody was filing paperwork on her behalf, lying about me, making up lies about me and slanderous stories, as well as trying to control the outcome of this case. So, in April, with same judge, Daryl Kennedy, and me, myself, and my ex-wife, that were both there, we have a court date. This court date, we talked about, it says request for order to change child custody and visitation. It wasn't a request to change custody and visitation. It was a request to honor the child custody paperwork from Sacramento County, and honor jurisdiction of this case in Sacramento County, and to have this case brought back to Sacramento County and my kids brought back to Sacramento County. At this point, this judge is aware of what's going on. My ex-wife is aware of what's going on, as well as One Safe Place. And then this is where it's the court minutes and the court proceedings start to get one-sided and slanted, and they start using this domestic violence restraining order against me to keep me from my kids and prevent me from being able to take my kids home. And basically it says that there's a domestic violence restraining order that's filed against me and granted in Shasta County, and that that we have to follow the Family Code Section 3044. There never should have been a restraining order against me filed in Shasta County, like in another county, as well as like it should have never been granted. And then that restraining order should have never been used to keep my kids from going home to Sacramento. And we had several court dates where we talked about this. So on the bottom of this court minutes, it does discuss it. It says, for the record, the court states the respondent provided documents that include petitioner's request for domestic violence temporary restraining order, and it says it was filed on the 11th, 2016, and respondent's petition for custody and support filed on October 14th, 2016. The respondent only provided initial filing documents from Sacramento County, and that respondent's papers show no orders were proven to have been issued. The court returns the preferred documents to the respondent in open court. This is evidence right here and proof that that we were discussing the custody orders from Sacramento County, and that this judge was aware of that. The fact that it wasn't no court orders were proven to have been issued. The paperwork from Sacramento County and the custody orders from Sacramento County, the original paperwork, that's enough for this judge to basically have my kids returned back to Sacramento County. You don't have to have a court order from Sacramento, to have your children returned back to their home. And it says that the restraining order was filed on the 11th, and that I had filed custody on the 14th. It's basically what they're saying is that she filed a domestic violence restraining order first, and then I filed custody orders after that. That should be irrelevant in jurisdiction of this case because we lived in Sacramento County. But it also shows that the judge was aware of the custody orders in Sacramento, and they were trying to argue that the domestic violence restraining order was filed first. That's not true, and that's not what happened. And the fact that I had served One Safe Place in the Sheriff's Department and Shasta County Superior Court, the custody orders on the 20th, that I think that this statement just speaks for itself, that this judge was aware of that, and they're trying to make an argument over that there wasn't court orders in Sacramento County. That should be irrelevant in jurisdiction. Once again, this is another court date. About a month after that, same judge on the May 15th. Myself, and my ex-wife both showed up, and it's returned from child custody recommended counseling. After the last court date, we had to go to recommended counseling with Shasta County, and basically, she was able to say whatever she wanted about me, lied about me to this counselor, and lied about the reason why she filed the domestic violence restraining order, and then this case was totally one-sided after this point. This is another court date in September of 18th, 2017. This is now almost a year later after my kids have been abducted from Sacramento. And I had been filing paperwork in Shasta County to try to have my kids returned back to Sacramento, and trying to tell everybody what had happened and what was going on. And the reason why she filed the domestic violence restraining order in Shasta County was to avoid going to jail for an abduction. This is a request for order to change child custody, and it does talk about. It says the argument ensues whether custody and visitation issued in Sacramento County or Shasta County was first. The court reviews the court file and pertinent court minutes. So basically, what this judge is saying is she's going back with the county clerk or the court clerk, looking through the paperwork that is filed, and having a discussion or an argument over what custody orders were filed first. Okay, this is important right here because this judge and these other judges in Shasta County Superior Court, they're talking about what is filed first and if that's relevant. It doesn't matter if she filed 10 days before I filed custody paperwork in Sacramento County. We lived in Sacramento County. The kids were born in Sacramento County. The kids were going to school in Sacramento County. And we lived together in Sacramento County. And so the county jurisdiction over this case is Sacramento County. That's why I filed custody orders in Sacramento County. So the fact that she filed anything in Shasta County is illegally filed paperwork, and it's an error of law. And this judge and the other judge, Judge Kennedy, should have corrected the error of law. The error of law would be assuming jurisdiction over a family law case that should have never happened in Shasta County. And my kids should have been returned back to Sacramento, back to me, and moved forward with this case. And it says right here, the discussion ensues regarding respondent's visitation and need for contact with the petitioner and the children in light of the fact that there's a permanent domestic violence restraining order in place against respondent. And then it says that she's okay with supervised visitation for me. And it says right here, the court finds that the first order regarding custody and visitation occurred in Shasta County on October 12, 2016, and further orders that the Shasta County order predates any order issued in Sacramento County. Now, this was a huge argument with me and with Sacramento County, was because when I filed the custody orders and I served them to the Shasta County Superior Court and the Sheriff's Department in one safe place, this paperwork was not filed yet. And there was no restraining order against me yet. After I served one safe place, that's when this paperwork was filed in Shasta County Superior Court, and they backdated it to the 12th. And the reason why they backdated it was to argue with Sacramento County over jurisdiction of this case. And that's been really pivotal in this family law case from the very beginning, was because they're basically saying right here that the court orders from Shasta County were filed first. That's irrelevant in law. The law is very clear on abduction, and it's very clear on custody orders. And when you look up how to file paperwork for custody, it clearly says that you need to file the paperwork in the county that you live in. Okay, so the fact that they're talking about these things right here, and they're arguing over which was filed first, is clear evidence that they were aware that my kids were taken from Sacramento County, and that she was up here with my kids, and had kidnapped my kids from Sacramento, and didn't show up for court in Sacramento, as well as didn't go and file the paperwork that she needed to in Sacramento County in order to have custody of my children. This is September. This is a year after my kids were abducted from Sacramento, and I hadn't seen them or heard from them this entire time. This is over a year later, okay? I was arrested for violating the domestic violence restraining order in Shasta County, and I was fighting a criminal case. Thank you. God bless.